One word. Hmm. Powerful. I am very humble and very powerful. I am a really great manifester, and anything that comes to mind, I make it happen. So I grew up in a small district called Markingstone, just outside of Anota Bay, the town of Anota Bay, next to Borel. And it's just a seaside. My home was on the seaside, basically. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, because I went swimming every single day. That's like one of my favorite things to do, swim. I was a very outgoing little girl. But then there was this incident when I was 6 years old. And for a long time, I didn't realize what had happened to me. And so I became very quiet, very quiet. And maybe for years after, I kind of buried that memory. When you become a teenager, you're interested in boys and those type of things. I was not. I had no interest in relationships, no interest in, getting to know anyone. I was kind of afraid, I think. And, I questioned myself. I did a lot of self introspection and realized something was off. Before writing my book, I realized that a lot of persons have had similar experiences. And I did not let that stop me from becoming who I am. So I thought it was necessary to share my story and, to maybe heal someone that is keeping that type of experience to themselves and it's killing them inside. So I decided to share my story. I had some reservations about sharing my story. I had to decide whether I wanted to publish it or not, or whether I wanted to publish it in Jamaica. At first, I thought, okay, I'm just going to publish this internationally and I'm not going to share it with Jamaica. But I was like, I wanted to share my story with the persons who needed to hear it here in Jamaica. So I braved up and I published it. When I went to college, after college, I came back to Jamaica. And then I had my daughter. She was disabled, functionally and mentally disabled. So I decided to go back to the US to try and get her the therapy that she needed. And that is what I did. But I was like, you know what? When she was 7 years old, I said, okay, I'm going to probably do a year or another 2 years just to have her get the necessary therapy that she needed. But something else happened and I had to cut that short and I came back to Jamaica. I had a newborn baby as well. So I had my son. Yeah, I just had my son. And, I wanted my husband to be there. He was back and forth. And I just felt like I couldn't do it on my own. I needed to be with him. So I decided, it's time to come home. So I came home to Portland, and Portland being what it is, not a very industrious place, I didn't have much of a career opportunity here. So I decided, I did a whole lot of research. I was like, what is here to do? What can I do here? And I started researching the bottled water business because there was a lot of rainfall. And there was this one particular incident where I purchased a case of water and I had a bottle and it was not to my liking. I didn't like earthy taste. So I decided, to do more research to find a source that could give me some pure, natural spring water that was refreshing. And that's what we did. I did a lot of research, put a business plan together, and then I pitched it to my husband, and he bought into it right away. And that was the beginning of Lifespan. A lot of persons, when they heard that we were going to be going into the water business, they were like, why? That market is so saturated, because we had a lot of imported brands. And we also had a number of local brands on the market, with the two major players being Catherine's Peak and Water. After I moved back to the States with my daughter. I worked in the entertainment industry, in music and the movie industry. And I met a whole lot of people and, gained a whole lot of knowledge and experience. And I thought I had what it took to come and start a business on my own and make it successful. And so we incorporated the business in 2005, started trading about June 2006. And yeah, we have been in business for over 18 years. Well, in the initial stages, my husband was call it the engineer. So like the building, the structural work, all the infrastructural work, he was the person responsible for doing that. I was the person who was responsible for finding the equipment, and getting the equipment here, and doing all the necessary paperwork, all the administrative work, all the sales and marketing. That was me. I loved doing what I did. I really enjoyed it. So it was a lot of fun for me, even though I had a lot of sleepless nights, but yeah, it was all worth it. When we were trying to decide on what name to give it, I was talking about the water coming from the mountain and, the fact that it was naturally alkaline and all of those good stuff and what water does for you, because your body is made up of 70% water. For you to remain healthy all the time, you have to ensure that you maintain a neutral pH in your body. So when you drink Lifespan, which is naturally alkaline, it neutralizes that acidity in your body. So cancer cells and all of those things they can't expand or develop. So I was looking at it, well, water really extends a person's life if they know that it is so important. It's not about quenching your thirst. It's about continuously hydrating and flushing your system of all of that pollutant that you take into your body. So Lifespan, longer, more life, naturally. Yeah. When we were getting started, we have, a minimal amount of capital. So we got the equipment. We got our first supply of bottles and caps because at the time we weren't blowing. We just had the filling rinsing line. We had a pickup truck. So what we would do, it was me and my husband, and we had another employee. And we went into the factory. He built it, set up the entire thing. We did our production, and then we went on the road to go sell in a pickup truck. If I look back, it was very discouraging. When we went that very first day, we only sold 10 cases, and the little mom and pop shops along the road, they were more supportive than the major supermarkets, because when we went to the major supermarkets, they were like, nobody knows you. You have to do some marketing. Persons have to get to know the product before you can, feature it in our stores. And that was very discouraging, but I persisted. I remember there was this wholesale, and this gentleman, he said, hey man, I will support you, so bring 25 cases next week. And I went. He said no the other week. So when I went back the second time, I said, all right. I just unloaded it. So when he came to tell me that he didn't want it, it was already there. He tried it, and in a few days' time, he called me. He wanted more. It sold off. So, sometimes you have to do stuff like that. It was hard. It wasn't easy by any stretch of the imagination. But I am this type of person that, when I come across obstacles, I just deal with it. I find a solution and I just move on. I don't think about failure. I think I've failed many times. I learned my lessons and I just move on. I mean, a few years after being in business, I had a distributor that distributed products to the hotels. And, this was like major for us because it was the first major distributor. And, we credited them a lot of products. And it was going good for the first several months. It was going really great. And then they filed bankruptcy. and they owed us a lot of money. Being a very small company, that was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But, by the grace of God, we got through it and moved past it. Going into business, I always pushed my husband at the forefront until he said he did not want to be the CEO. I was actually being the CEO, but I always push him forward because of my experiences. Like, I would go to the bank. We were both signatories on our accounts, for example, and if there was anything, I was a person who managed these things, but at the same time, the banker, the personal banker, the business banker would be calling my husband, and he was like, no, speak to my wife. And then there was this other incident where we had some um, company outside of Jamaica that was interested in doing a major distribution with bottled water. They wanted to create their own brand, so they came to us asking us to do it for them. And then another company, that would provide the bottles and so on. So, they asked us to meet them. I was the only female there, and they were talking about this new company that they were gonna start, and who would get what shares and whatever. And I was not included in that. However, there was this one gentleman that said, okay, so this is your assignment, this is what you're gonna do, and threw a piece of paper over to me. Of course, I wasn't disrespectful or anything, but I did eventually excuse myself and we left. Throughout times we have seen where, men, they band together and they form their own little institution, which I think they call sometimes a boys club. And so as women, we were taught that we were, just be submissive women, be in the home, take care of the children, take care of the home and the husband, and that's your job. No, we can be more than that. And so as a female, as an empowered female woman, an empowered woman, I think it's necessary for me to also empower other women to understand that, listen, we are individuals as well. Even though we love our husband and cherish them and cherish our family, we do have a life of our own as well. I want to see a lot more successful women, and I think I'm seeing it now, as a matter of fact. I see a lot of young women who are becoming so successful at entrepreneurship, and I just want to play my little part in helping with that. So I mentor a few young women and men as well. I've mentored men as well. And I give it freely. You have to be a very confident person to persevere. You have to be extremely focused. You have to have the right attitude. And, an attitude of positivity will get you through doors that, maybe normally someone would be fearful of entering. There have been times when I've walked into a space and I am nervous. But do I show the nervousness? No, I don't. But it's not pretending. It's about holding yourself together. I think that's it. Holding yourself together. You're trying to focus. Be courageous, because there have been times when I've self-doubt overcomes me, and I have to just do that positive self-talk to myself to assure myself that, listen, you are worthy, you're good enough, so you can do this. I need to not just encourage myself but encourage my team, and so I choose different quotes that are empowering, are positive, and for persons to for it to remind persons on a daily basis. So whenever you look up, there's something to look at and think about. For me, it was always about maintaining consistency and raising the standards. So I didn't want to operate like everybody else, and so I went into this business knowing that I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. So it means my product has to be the finest product there is. The best quality, the best taste. And so I focused on those things. So I never compromised on quality. And I also, set some core values and had, my vision and mission, and my staff bought into it. So I have a really good team. The team has evolved throughout the years, but it has remained a committed, dedicated team. I reach out a lot. We help with education, with just a whole lot of community projects. We're very big on the environment. Um, our corporate social responsibility includes our staff welfare as well. So, it's about empowering our staff. We have a Lifespan Learning Institute where we encourage persons to educate themselves. Well, Lifespan is the greatest. We might be number three in sales on the market, but we're number one in quality. So, and that has been the case because the Monde selection, which is an international quality institute out of Belgium, we had our product sent and they tested the product, tasted it, and all that good stuff that they normally do and graded it. To get a Grand Gold quality award, you have to get a grade of between 90 and 100%. And that's where we came out. And this has been 4 years in a row. For Lifespan, I see us expanding into different markets globally. So we're in several Caribbean islands at the moment. We were in the UK before the pandemic hit. We're no longer there. So the vision is to expand into other markets, including the US and other European markets as well. And also, growing more into the Caribbean market and Latin America. So in the next 10 years, we should be in every major stores across the world. 100 years from now, Lifespan will be around. It's going to be a company that emphasizes about health. It will promote health living, and I think that is what it's about. And in another 100 years, it will be here. I will be gone, of course, but it will be here.